Good evening, this is Antigonus Gaming, and we will be starting our playthrough of our first game, Final Fantasy VII Remake by Square Enix. This is the PS5 version, so it also includes the Yuffie DLC, which I will play after I'm done with the main game. I said in the video before that I was playing the PS4 version. I have the PS5 version actually. As I am playing on my PS5. Um, so, for those of you who are wondering about the name of the channel, I'm a large fan of ancient history, and as this is a channel mainly trying to deliver content to people with visual challenges, I wanted to name my channel after a famous person who only had one eye. Antigonus was a Macedonian general who only had one eye. His family wound up ruling Macedon from a couple decades after Alexander the Great's death through when Macedon was conquered by Rome. But the founder had only one eye. I will talk more about history when it's pertinent for the games I'm playing. Unfortunately for Final Fantasy VII, that doesn't really apply since it's more of a sci-fi game. I'm currently looking at the menu. Just a classic menu. We've got Cloud's Buster Sword. He uses a great sword. It's, silver. And it has some lines in it because it's modded with some technology. We'll see more about that later when we see a scene where Cloud's talking about his sword. I'm going to hit New Game. I'm going to click Default Settings because I like the default settings. I've beaten this game several times. I've never played on any of the other settings, so I'm just going to go with Default. I'm going to play with the standard normal difficulty, not the classic mode, which is designed for people who prefer the battle combat to try to be more like the original old 90s style RPG combat. If any of you have played those games or listened to streams, I know someone, I believe, did content similar to this with the original 7. The battles are more like, there's like a bar that fills up and so on and so forth, and you don't actively control the characters. Well, you actively control the characters in the Remake combat system. So I'm going to be going with the Remake system. I think it's more fun and engaging than the classic system. So I'm going to hit start now. We're going to head into an intro video, and then we're going to get going with Chapter 1, which is known as the Destruction of Mako Reactor 1. So we're started. We're looking at the area around Midgar, the city that it takes place in. We've got a bird of prey flying overhead. The land is completely desertified. It's all dry, worn out. There's no plant life or water. The bird is flying overhead. We do have clouds. We can see the Midgar in the horizon with the Shinra building towering overhead. Now we're flying over the city itself. Lots of girders, pipes, other metal contraptions, cranes for construction. We've got the credits coming in, so now we're seeing highways, big, large, high-rise buildings, trains, smokestacks with smog, various things. Now we're looking at a main street, lots of people coming about. The cars look like they're out of the 1950s. We have kids on bikes, construction workers, just people walking about, signs for businesses, dog eating out of a garbage can. Midgar is the site of the game's villains, the Shinra Corp, so it's normally shown at night, kind of to give that evil, ominous aura. This is a unique showing of it during the day. We've got a flower that's dying next to grass that's all brown, symbolizing how nature will be a big theme of this game. Now we've got some kids playing in a park. It shows them staring up at the Mako reactors, the power plants that fuel the city, and all of the bright green pollution that's shooting up into the air, causing clouds. And now the sun has gone down, it's nighttime. We're still seeing credits on screen of different people who were big parts of the game. We've got one of our most important characters here. We don't see her name yet, but she's got a red coat over a light pink dress, long brown hair with a pink ribbon in it. Her hair is braided. She's got bright green eyes. She's looking at a pipe that has some of the Mako coming out of it, a damaged pipe. She's got a basket on her one hand with a bunch of yellow flowers in it, staring down an ominous-looking alleyway. As she runs out of the alley into the main street, which is quite busy. You got people coming and going. Someone just runs into her, doesn't say anything at all. And her red and yellow flowers fall out. One person steps on one of the flowers and crushes it a little bit. So she picks it up, holds it close to her chest, stares right up at the sky. Now we're zooming out, looking at the whole city. We see the Mako reactors. The city's actually 2 layers. The rich people live on top of a giant plate suspended in the sky, and the poor people live on the ground level in slums. And we see the Shinra building, the basis of the Shinra Corporation who run the city, in the middle. It's a huge, massive tower that has all these different things sticking out of it. Now we see the Final Fantasy VII Remake logo, with the meteor behind the name, and we see a train that's driving towards Mako Reactor 1. This train is carrying the heroes of the first chapter here in the game. We see a blonde man with a sword on top of one of the cars, pulling into a industrial train station here. See the mist and stuff from the train stopping. We've got a couple of Shinra security guards. They've got their blue uniforms and their white helmets with visors, and they've got shoulder pads. They're carrying assault weapons, and they have billy clubs. One of them just faints. The other one is frantically looking around, and he just got grabbed and kicked in the stomach by 2 other people that came off the train. Now we've got all 3 people standing here. They've all got, kind of combat fatigues looking. They're looking at a tall, muscular man who's got a ripped off leather jacket, dog tag, combat boots and pants. And now our blonde friend, this is Cloud, just jumped off. He's got his Buster sword, a huge great sword. Cloud is blonde hair, he's white. He's got dark blue combat fatigues on, combat boots and metal gloves. One of his shoulders has a shoulder pad, one of it not. Here we've got a couple of security guards. Our friend with the sunglasses who is running this mission has just told Cloud to take care of the guards. We've got a tutorial that says to use square to attack with Cloud's sword. So we're going to be doing that now.
You're coming with us. Nice and easy.
Cloud levels up just like he does in the original game when you beat the tutorial encounter, and now we're heading up into the station. We're looking at some turnstiles, some more security guards. Our companions are going through the station. I'll describe them in more detail once I get up to the gate into the reactor. Cloud is outside the turnstiles. He's fighting 2 more security guards. We got another tutorial about the ability gauge, also known as ATB.
Freeze!
I'm not going to use any abilities currently because I can defeat these enemies without it, but I will be using them as things come up. So, and you can hear Cloud talking as he takes out the soldiers, and he says, "That's that." That's what one of his lines he'll say when he finishes a group of enemies off. More tutorials. There's a lot of them in the first chapter, obviously. It's telling me how to you know, jump over things in the way. I jumped over the turnstiles. Here comes some more guards. They all look the same. They're just standard Shinra public security soldiers. They've all got white shoulder pads and helmets with visors. They've got their billy clubs and their weapons. They've got shoulder pads, and their combat uniforms are blue, and they have a green scarf around them. So now I am going to use one of my ATB abilities. One of Cloud's standard ability is Braver. This was his original limit break from the original game back in the 90s. Now it's just his standard combat ability. So I'm going to use it. When I use it, Cloud jumps up in the air, does like a flip in the air, and then comes down hard with his sword. At this point in the game, one hit from Braver is enough to take out an enemy. And then on the right-hand side, it's just telling me I gained some EXP points, some items, some gil. Gil is the money that I'll be using. And now I've encountered a treasure chest, so I open it up, and it says I obtained 2 potions. So there's another one over here. I've walked up the stairs. I'm on the 2nd level of the station now. Station looks like a, you know, old-timey brick station. You've got, you know, brick pillars and floors, concrete, you know, tiled floors. You know, you've got an information thing that has the, you know, departure times and where trains are going. I'm now walking out of the station, and it's telling me that if I find wooden boxes that have Shinra's logos on them, I should slash them, because sometimes they'll drop shards that'll give me my MP back, which is how I use magic, or they'll drop potions and other useful items like ethers and so on and so forth. So now I'm waiting outside the gate, and I've got my 4 companions. The first one is Wedge. He's got a white shirt, and now we're looking at Jessie. She is one of our companions. She's got metal chest armor and shoulder armor. She's got a red headband. Her hair's in a ponytail. She's got a blue undershirt. She's Biggs is right next to her. Biggs has black hair. Jessie's got brown hair. They have Biggs and Jessie have red headbands. Wedge's headband covers most of his head. He's got black hair. Wedge and Jessie have shoulder armor. Biggs does not. Biggs is just wearing like green combat clothes. Wedge has a white shirt and shorts. All of them are wearing boots. And they're from Avalanche. Then over here we have Barrett. Barrett is another one of our main characters. Barrett is black. He's got a leather jacket, some green pants, combat boots, and he wears sunglasses. The big thing that sticks out about Barrett is that his right arm is missing, and it cuts off at the shoulder, and in its place he has a gun grafted onto his arm instead. His left arm is fine and is functional, but he's got a gun grafted onto his right arm, and that'll be his weapon that we use.
You better be worth the money, Mark. Every last deal.
Claw walks through the gate that they just broke into, and he's staring up at the reactor. We're still outside the reactor itself, but we're in the grounds around it. I love Barrett. He's voiced by John Eric Bentley, and if you haven't heard of him, he voices Max Fury in all the Marvel games, so that's like the type of character that he usually voices, and by all accounts, from things I've heard of people that have met him at conventions, he's a great guy. We'll see more of Barrett's character as we go along. I'm getting a tutorial about locking onto targets. I don't typically do that. I've played this game enough times that I kind of know what to do. I'm facing a guard dog, just a classic dog with, black, hound that you would, see with, security forces. And then there's also a couple of Shinra soldiers with it. I just do focus thrust, which is a high accuracy, low damage attack that will raise the stagger gauge a lot. We'll explore more of that in a little bit when we face a mini boss in the reactor itself. Now I'm just getting another trust. You know, we're in an industrial zone, so lots of metal fences, lots of cones, you know, mostly tile floors. Another guard dog and a soldier just showed up to try to stop me, so fighting them. Not using any MP, even though I probably could. This is, you know, in normal mode you can recover your MP pretty easily. In hard mode you can't. There's Cloud just saying not bad. You know, the characters will talk as they fight. As we get more characters in the party as the game goes along, you'll get to hear them too. Wedge is telling us to catch up. I'm in the elevator, so I'm moving up to the second level. You know, in an industrial area, in a power plant, so everything's, you know, pretty metal and, you know, lots of yellow paint. Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse are currently cutting our way through a fence. Since we can't get through the gate any other way, so Barrett is also with them. Biggs is waiting for us to come through.
Not so fast. We've got company.
We got two Shinra soldiers and a guard dog. I am going to use fire on the dog since it's weak to fire, and fire in this game generally tracks. Fire filled up the stagger gauge. When you stagger an enemy, you do 160% damage, or 1.6 times normal damage. Staggering enemies is the way you can get through fights without taking minimal damage, because when you do the bonus damage, typically the enemies don't react as well. Sometimes some bosses will stop altogether, and also you're doing bonus damage, so you're taking things down faster. Now I've gotten through the gates. I'm walking through this fenced area. I got some boxes that didn't drop anything, unfortunately. Drops are random. Usually boxes have, when you encounter a bunch of boxes, they usually have stuff, but not always. Our friends are sneaking through the guards, so now we're gonna fight them. Just two guards, no dogs this time. We're near the entrance to the reactor, so we're about to walk across a metal suspension bridge. There's a big gate, so I have to grab this lever and pull it down. I hit triangle, and then there'll be a circle that fills up, and then Cloud pulls the thing down, and the gate opens. So now we're looking at the reactor. We're on a metal suspended bridge over the sections of the plate that are divided, that the wealthy city on top of the poor city on the bottom are located in. So if you look straight out, you can see the back of the Shinra building in the middle of the city, and then you can see the walls of the plate. If you look straight forward, you see the entrance to the reactor. There's a big number 1 on it, and you know, then there's a huge gate to go inside across the bridge, which we're going to do. Wedge is going to wait outside for us because he's securing our mode of escape, since we're escaping a different way out than we came in.
Soldiers may attack on command, but
This is Barrett here.
guard dogs too. Bet you've seen a few reactors. So how do we get to the bridge above Marco's storage? Ain't holding out on me, are you? Steph scared to bite the hand that fed him? Or is he a loyal little dog?
Cloud just had a headache.
Wait, but we can do this with you, or we can do this without you.
Different reactor, different layout. Depends when it was built. I've never seen one like this, but I'll manage.
We'll see as the game goes along that Cloud will have these hallucinations. Sometimes they only last for a moment and don't impact his ability to hold conversation. Sometimes they will. Stamp, which Barrett mentioned, is Shinra's, like, mascot, basically. We got Biggs over here on the left. He's typing in a computer. So I'm going to talk to him, since that's where I'm being prompted to do. You know, we're in a metal room. We see, like, pipes extending up to the ceilings because these are power plants here. So we're at the end. We just hacked into the door. There's a bunch of guards. take care of them.
It's over!
That's my line.
Cloud pulls his sword out after Barrett and the others were held back. The tutorial for this is that Cloud actually has 2 modes. He starts off in what's known as operator mode, which is like a much faster, lower power mode. So if you want to make lots of hits quickly but for less damage, you go in operator mode. Operator mode is a lot easier to play in, but Punisher mode is very overpowered as well. And Punisher mode does a lot more damage, but Cloud is a lot slower. Usually you use Punisher mode when an enemy is already staggered, because then you're doing way more damage, and you use Operator mode to try to stagger the enemies. So I just hit the triangle button, and Cloud holds the sword differently. He's holding it like over his head, and his attacks are like much more brutal and powerful, but I just wiped out an entire cohort of soldiers, 4 soldiers, very quickly. And there's Jessie. Now she's gonna hack into the computer. We got Barrett waiting for the elevator, and I'm gonna talk to Jessie. So she's.
It's a good thing I know someone who can get us the passcodes. If anyone else at command will talk to us, but what can you do? And we're good.
Careful in there.
So Biggs is waiting outside. So Wedge is all the way outside, securing our mode of escape. Biggs is gonna cover the entrance. We're in basically the like elevator room to go down into the basement of the reactor. We've got, you know, a bunch of like closets with like radioactive suits that you'd see like in a nuclear power plant. Got a chest right here. Got a sign that's telling people like, you know, prohibited things to do, as you would see in any scientific facility. I'm gonna talk to Barrett real quick.
It's only going to get tighter, so be ready. We can't afford any more mistakes.
So I'll talk to him. Then
Looks like the elevator's on another floor. Mind pushing that button?
Jesse's asking us, it sounds like we have to hit 2 buttons at once to get the elevator to work.
So, you know Tifa, right? It's not really my business, but are you guys close?
We'll meet Tifa in Chapter 3, but she and Cloud grew up in the same hometown. Cloud's remembering back to his hometown, so we're seeing it's like a rural mountain town. We've got like an old-time water fountain, you know, 1 and 2 floor wooden houses. He's thinking back to when he was a kid. That's Tifa. She's with a bunch of other boys, and she's kind of got like a pouty face going, because Cloud's not talking to her. Elevator just arrived, and Barrett just pushed through. He used his weapon arm to push Cloud out of the way a little bit. Okay, now we're in President Shinra's office. President Shinra runs the Shinra company. It's, you know, fancy office, red carpet, huge desk, ornate gold pillars. Off, you know, he's got a bunch of computers. He's sitting in a.
Sewer rats appear to call themselves allies, sir. We are currently investigating whether they belong to the same group that made the attempt on your life. Rest assured, our inquiries will not take much longer.
So the guy talking to President Shinra is Heidegger. He's the one who runs the public security department. He's wearing like, he's very tall. He's got a beard. He's wearing like a green military kind of suit. President Shinra is sitting in the chair at his desk. He's older. He's about 60. He's in his 60s. He's got blonde hair that's receding a little bit. A mustache. He wears a 3-piece purple suit that has the vest and everything in there, and he's just like, And Heidegger is telling President Shinra that they're investigating whether your team was also the team that attempted to assassinate him shortly before the game took place.
This bomb's sole purpose is to drain the planet dry. While you sleep, while you eat, while you shit. It is circular, Marco. It doesn't rest, and it doesn't care. You do realize what Marco is, don't you? Marco is the lifeblood of our world. The planet bleeds green like you and me bleed red. The hell you think's gonna happen when it's all gone, huh? Answer me!
So Barrett's giving his big speech about what Avalanche's mission is. They're fighting against Shinra because they think Shinra's technology is destroying the planets. You know, and he's very fired up about it. Cloud and Jesse are just kind of standing there. Jesse shrugging like, whatever. You know, she's heard him give his speech before. Cloud is just going to stare there with like a complete like stone, like I don't care kind of face.
You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in vain? I know you can!
You really hear that?
Cloud not impressed.
Damn straight I do!
Get help.
Say that again!
I worry less about the planet and more about the next 5 seconds. Save the screaming for later.
So we're into the basement of the reactor, heading towards the core, walking down a metal passageway.
Our lives are on the line now. You listening, Merc? One false move.
Barrett just
Well,
destroys
so much
it.
for having Cloud do all the fighting. There are some places a sword just can't reach. Just bear with them for me, would you?
Yeah.
Should have asked for more money.
Barrett just used his gun to destroy a security turret that's, you know, up on like a ledge. Alright, now I'm joined by Barrett. His name is Barrett Wallace, so I get to control him. He's one of the 4 playable characters. Barrett specializes in ranged attacks. Hold down the square button to release a sustained burst of automatic fire when equipped with a ranged weapon. Barrett does have a couple of melee weapons, though his ranged weapons are far superior. Barrett can fire from a safe locations and hit enemies that Cloud cannot reach with his sword. So Barrett's special is overcharge. So press triangle when in control of Barrett to deliver a heavy hitting attack that fills a large portion of his gauge. Once unleashed, it takes a long time to recharge. Pressing triangle, however, will speed up the process. So his overcharge is he has like a bar that fills up, and then he can shoot like a powered up blast that does a lot more damage than his usual attacks will. You can choose to charge it, or you can just let it charge naturally. But I like playing as Barrett. I think he's pretty easy to use. So, you know, when you start a battle, he always has it charged up, and then you use it right away, and then it'll charge up as you fight with him. So right now we're, you know, in the reactor basement, heading down, and we've got three security rays that are shooting lasers at us. Cloud can't reach them, so this is Barrett. Barrett has 2 skills. His first one is Steel Skin, which is a defensive skill. His second skill is Focus Shot, which is a low damage attack that will fill the stagger gauge. Against weak enemies, though, it does a decent amount of damage. Now it's telling me I can switch to Cloud by using either the up and down or the left and right on my pad on my controller. I can also use L2 and R2 to issue commands to other allies. So like I can play as Barrett and tell Cloud to cast a spell, or I can play as Cloud and tell Barrett to use an item. When the other 2 characters that are playable show up, I can do the same thing with them. So now some mono drives, which are just little robots, are coming, and Cloud and Barrett are talking trash to each other while they're fighting.
Sure you could.
So there's Barrett telling, I could have done that on my own, and Cloud's like, yeah, whatever, man.
Look what we have here.
So
Security system. Great.
Those things will hurt more than your pride if you're careless. They'll cut you down to size and then some. But I'm guessing you've done this kind of thing before.
Yeah, figure out the timing of the lasers. Then, make a move when they cycle off.
Exactly. I'll go first. Nothing like a little danger to get the blood pumping.
Hey!
Just keep those baby blues of yours on me.
So we're gonna go through two. We just walked down to the floor below, the one where we were fighting the security rays, and the first one, the next two floors, we're gonna be running through security lasers. The lasers are just red beams that go up to the ceiling. We've got, you know, metal boxes and things like that blocking the way, storage containers, the kinds of things you'd expect in an industrial complex, metal floor. And the lasers don't give you a game over or anything, but they do a little bit of damage. And when you're doing things like this, if you successfully get through the thing, you'll get different dialogue than if you didn't. You know, Jesse's telling us we're doing good because we made it through the first round without any damage. The second round is more difficult. Yeah, Jesse's telling us it's pretty easy, but she's far away, so it's not as loud. And, you know, Barrett just got hit by them. And, you know, she's telling us it's like a walk in the park. We're going through a laser system in an industrial complex that we broke into, right? So now we're headed down to the bottom floor of this particular part, and
They don't call those things sweepers for nothing. They can wipe out a whole squad in seconds.
Not if you went forward in first.
so this is one of the mini bosses. It's called a sweeper. It's like a robot that's got like a cylindrical body, and it's got two arms that both have, you know, weapons on them that can shoot fire or, you know, ammunition, and it's got feet so it can move around. These were classic Final Fantasy VII enemies you'd fight in Shinra complexes, but in the Remake trilogy, they go from being more to like mini bosses. Then you know, we've got a bunch of them, but they're all deactive. We only got one active.
Is that right?
You did it with magic. Give us an opening.
So I'm gonna use Barrett here because he's got thunder, whereas Cloud starts with just fire. You know, robot enemies are naturally weak to lightning, whereas like more living enemies are weak to ice or fire. And the thunder spell will pressure it, and when you pressure something, that means its stagger gauge will fill up a lot faster, and then you can stagger them. You know, so in this case, the robot's generally weak to magic, but it's much weaker to lightning magic than fire magic. And when something's pressured, I can use an ability like Cloud's Focus Thrust, which is designed to hit a pressured enemy, and it doesn't do that much damage, but it'll fill the gauge up really fast. So the gauge just went from being like half full to 90% full, and one of Barrett's regular attacks just staggered the enemy. So it says staggered on there. On the screen, and the enemy isn't moving. So, and now I use abilities like, first I'll use Barrett's Overcharge. I'll tell Cloud to hit it with Braver, because that's his best attack at this point in the game. And then I'll just hit it with another Thunder spell. And in between the Braver and the Thunder, it did about 900 damage, and that's enough to wipe out the sweeper. I got 27 EXP and some gil. There's Barrett and Cloud talking trash. You can tell Cloud not the best socially. He's struggling. Barrett's asking him his age, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a first-class soldier." And Barrett's like, "What? Come on, man. I'm just asking you how old you are."
That's our target, the reactor core. Gotta set the bomb at the bottom.
So we're in the reactor core now, but we come in at the top, and there's a bunch of layers of like walkways that we have to go down with stairs and ladders. At the bottom, there's all that like green Mako and there's a platform with like a big device that controls the Mako and pumps it out. Where our mission is to set a bomb and deactivate the device. So, and you know, as with any, you know, scientific facility, when you're in the main room that has the chemicals in it, you could smell it and feel it. Again, big giant metal room, multiple stories high. We're going down. We're about halfway down now, so we can see the device. You know, there's the big Shinra crest, Shinras. So, you know, we're facing some of the same types of enemies we faced when we first got down here. The little circular robots known as monodrives. There's a sentry ray, so I'm gonna use Barrett's overdrive or his overcharge to destroy that real quick. The monodrives can cast spells. They cast fire, which, you know, so I'm gonna quickly use some. I've got a couple more minor enemies up front I'm gonna attack, and then I'm gonna. So, Cloud's saying that if you fell into the reactor core, the pump would suck you back up instead of falling into the planet's core. In this, the Mako is sucked out of the planet's core. If you've played the original, you know what that's like. If not, you'll have to keep going. More of that will be unveiled in Rebirth in Part 3, which is currently being worked on. So I'm using a couple potions here, since, you know, I'm getting to the end of the dungeon, the main part of the dungeon, which, you know, if you know, the boss fight is coming up. This is a famous boss fight in Final Fantasy 7. This is one of the most famous fights. It's the first one. So Barrett's, you know, all fired up. So now we're down on the platform. It's metal. We've got, you know, a fence that basically, you know, telling us, you know, caution, don't go in. We can see the flowing Mako. There's all the pipes that are, you know, pumping it up. We've got the, now we're, so.
All right, let's see if little Stamp really can bite the hand that feeds. Go on, do the honors. Prove to me you're the man Tifa says you
So
are.
Barrett's holding out the bomb.
Never said I was. I'm just here for the paycheck.
Didn't do the damn job.
You tell they're not exactly getting along. You know, Cloud's just like, whatever, man, I'm just here for the money. Because he's a mercenary. They hired him to do this job. Barrett, you know, so. You know, Cloud all of a sudden having a headache, and he sees a black feather fall. You know, music, creepy music. The feather just disappears.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
What about the timer?
You're calm, Merc.
So, if any of you have ever dealt with, you know, mental health challenges or whatever, where you have flashbacks or hallucinations, you know how, you know, it's embarrassing and difficult to talk to other people who, especially those who don't know you that well. You know, it's it's much easier to just say I'm fine and keep going, even if you really aren't. You know, and this is a big part of, you know, Cloud's story. So, there's two choices. I can do 20 minutes or 30 minutes to escape from the reactor, because you know, it's a time bomb. I'm gonna pick 20 because, number one, I've done this before a number of times, so I know my way out. And number two, I get some extra goodies in Chapter 2 from Jesse if I pick 20 that you don't get if you pick 30, because, you know, it's a little bit harder. You're giving yourself less time.
Pretty cocky, ain't you?
Barrett making a comment about how Cloud's cocky. And just before the bomb starts, we have the security system that is defending this reactor. It's known as the Guard Scorpion. It's a giant robot that looks like a scorpion. It's red. no one inside. It's just a droid. You know, it's got a targeting device on its head. The tail, it can shoot missiles. The tail has a laser that comes out of it. The arms of the Scorpion have guns. So I've pressured it now, but as this is a boss fight, it'll have multiple phases. So here I'll have Cloud, you know. And when we were facing the mini boss just a minute ago, one spell and one focus thrust was enough to charge its stagger gauge. That's not the case here. I'm getting a tutorial about unblockable attacks. It's saying when an enemy is about to use an attack that cannot be guarded against, a red triangle with a white exclamation point symbol will appear. Take evasive action when that mark displays next to an opponent's skill name. So it's telling me that I have to hit circle, which is what you use to dodge roll. The boss has grabbed Cloud. It's saying being bound. Some enemies will occasionally bind your party members with unblockable attacks. If your character is bound and unable to attack, quickly switch to a different character. So I'm using Barret currently, so I'm not worried about it, but you usually need to use either an attack that the enemy's weak to or a powerful attack. I used Thunder, and the boss used Cloud because it's weak to Thunder. So the thing just ran over to the other platform. There's two platforms on the bottom. The one we came down on and the one that the device we set the bomb by is on. The boss just ran along the walls because it's a Scorpion robot and went onto the other one. So now I'm on the other side of the platform. Cloud and Barret talking trash. The boss has a force field around it, which is just like a bunch of like blue kind of electricity. Its force field is at the base of its tail on the bottom. It's like a red circular thing. I have to do enough damage to it, and then eventually the force will go away. So now I've switched over to Cloud, because Cloud is better able to get underneath it since he's using a melee weapon. So now when I attack the boss, instead of just saying Scorpion Sentinel, it also has like a sub thing I can attack called a Field Generator. The Scorpion Sentinel also has its health bar both displayed on the screen and in the little menu. So I'm going to attack the Field Generator with Reverse. So I'm still doing damage to the boss, but I'm also doing damage to the Field Generator. And so now that the shield is now turned red, the boss is now latched to the wall. So I'm going to switch to Barret so that we just destroyed the shield. So I hit it with Thunder. It's now pressured. I'm going to use Focus Shot, which will increase the pressure gauge a little bit. The boss is down to about 60% health. It's mostly just shooting missiles. That's when Barret tells someone that means they're in trouble. That's when he pressures them, you know. So I staggered the boss. Barret telling me, you know, we're finishing this thing off. So when you get to a boss to a checkpoint, you'll temporarily not be able to do any damage to it. Boss is latched onto the ceiling. It's shooting off missiles, just damaging the inside of the room. Now we've got pieces of the ceiling that are falling down. The boss has now jumped back to the other side of the platform. So, and it's charging up its tail laser, which is its most famous attack. So I have to, as Cloud says, get behind this debris. I can still cast magic from behind the debris, so I just did about 300 damage. And I wait, the tail laser destroys the debris, but it doesn't hit me because it takes just enough power. So now I'm going to switch back to Cloud. Barret's almost out of MP, but hopefully I can get through this fight. So the thing can create electric shockwaves, so if you spend too much time with Cloud too close to it. So I'm going to use an ether on Barret so that he can have all his MP recovered. So it can do a weak version of the tail laser too, which does a little bit of damage, but it's not a big deal ultimately. So now it's in the corner, so it just shot more missiles off, which just dropped more debris. So it's
Try cover and hold it down.
it's shooting its tail laser. The laser's blue. So I guess the boss pressures itself after it uses that attack. I missed the window though. It's going off for a moment. We're down to like 20% health. The next phase will start when I get it down to about 10%. Cloud's down to under 50%, so he's like, I gotta heal up. I'm gonna use a potion. I'll have Barrett use a potion too. Barrett has a little more health than Cloud. He's the tank, so he's got the most health and defense. But he's also the slowest of the 4 party members. Now the boss is going crazy. It's just shooting missiles everywhere, and it's starting to heal itself. But now I can destroy its legs. Destroying the legs staggers the boss. Sorry, pressures the boss, but the boss is so low on health at that point that just a couple thunder spells and I just took it out. So now the boss is on fire. You can see the electric coming out of the circuits. And as its last gasp, the tail laser went crazy. It destroyed a bunch of stuff in the reactor, including the main device. We can't get to the bomb, but something fell on it and turned down the timer anyway, so now it's starting, and the boss just blew up and fell into the reactor. So we are done with that.
You hear that? Damn thing showed you how it's done.
Come on, we gotta move.
I love how Barrett and Cloud just talk trash to each other. So now we gotta go back up the way we came. So we're going up the ladder. And we got 20 minutes to get out of here. So it usually only takes about 7 to 10. So we're going back up the way. Barrett is no longer actively in my party. I'm just playing as Cloud. So I just got ambushed by some mono drives. No big deal. They're pretty weak. I already took them out. Now I'm going back up the stairs. The whole place is like orange looking because we've got destroyed stuff, explosions, fires. So, things are bad. I'm about to go up the steps, and a big pipe comes down from the ceiling, and it knocks out a little bit of the thing. Also, Jesse's now under a piece of debris. Cloud is hanging on to like a metal thing hanging off the pipe, and I'm, going across. Cloud lifts the big thing up just enough for her to get out.
Hey! We'll link up over there! Look out for Jesse!
Barrett's saying link up at the exit of the room. There's another way to get out.
Come this way. This room should lead us straight to Barrett. Probably. I think I see an exit. Come on. Don't look back. Let's go.
Grabbing a chest here, going up the ladders. We've got about 18 and a half minutes left, which is more than enough time to get out of here. There's a little bar at the top too that tells me how far away my objectives are.
You're not helping.
Sorry, just if you keep it like this, I'll bring it up and let him talk.
Have it your way.
Cloud's just like, just be quiet and keep going. Jesse's like, no, I need to talk to myself. Like, I'm a very auditory person because of my vision, so I feel for Jesse. I sometimes will talk to myself while I'm going through something complicated or stressful because I like to hear things that helps me with the way my brain works. I know it's not most people. Alright, so now we're back at the entrance, and we got...
There!
I've got to come! Find us a way out of here!
But then...
Don't worry, I'll be fine. I've got soldier boy with me.
X, Soldier Boy.
They're here!
Cloud quit Soldier. Soldier's is a group of people a group of Shinra's elite troops. So Cloud always tells people when they say he's a soldier, he goes ex-soldier, because he doesn't want, he doesn't want to be not part of it anymore. So I'm just fighting a couple robots and Shinra guards. Now the door's back open, so I'm heading back the way I came. Another one of those sweeper bots that I destroyed before I went in just showed up. So, same deal. I need to build up Barrett's gauge, and then I use Thunder. Thunder does a decent amount of damage, and it pressures it. I'll use Cloud's Focus Thrust. So... okay, now it's staggered, and Barrett's gauge is full, so I can just use Thunder twice, and that'll quickly take it out. It says sweeper defeated. Cloud, just take it seriously, and Barrett's like, dude, we just killed this thing, let's celebrate. So, got more mana drives. No big deal, just take them out real quick with Cloud. Barrett is back in our party. So, at least for the time being. Oh, I guess there's one back here. So the enemies will all, when you have multiple enemies, they'll always be leveled like A, B, C, D, etc., etc. So now we're going back up the way we came through the area that had the lasers in it. So it's got all the like boxes and stuff, but everything's glowing. Okay, now we're facing a shock trooper. These guys are in like blue skin-tight outfits. They use like electrified claws to try to attack you. So their big thing is they're weak to fire, and their big thing is that like they're super fast. So if you don't stagger them, they'll dodge a lot of your attacks. I just easily took out this one because it was just me and Barrett against it. But when you face these guys in groups, they can be really annoying. And the upgraded versions you face later in the game are more powerful and hard. So like now we're facing 2 of them, and we've got 2 of the security cannons. So first thing to do is to use Barrett's magic to take out the sentry rays, because they're mechanical, so they're weak to lightning. These guys are people, so they're weak to fire. Exploiting weaknesses is a good thing to do. I got 15 minutes left, and this is the end, so I've got... I'm going to switch over to Cloud now, so I can actually take out the thing. Maybe focus thrust will hit it, yep. Oh, and Cloud just got thrown up in the air. The shock troopers can send you flying because they're using, fist weapons, basically. And they dodge, she dodged, and saying dodge, dodge, dodge. So I just took out one of them, and he dodged my braver, but I was able to use overcharge with Barrett and get him. So Thunder, I believe, is guaranteed hit in this game, unless the enemy absorbs or realizes Thunder. So I just used that to take him out. Now I'm back to the elevator that I took down here from the entry area. So Barrett, Cloud, both running into the elevator. Barrett's hitting it frantically. The bomb is about to blow up. So it's just a small bomb. It blows up some pipes so that deactivates the reactor. Now we're looking at it from a camera perspective. President Shinra at his desk, nodding to Heidegger to activate something on Heidegger's little cell phone here. And lo and behold, all of the cannons that I didn't interact with are and some sweepers are blowing up the reactor, making it look a lot worse than it actually would have been what Barrett and Jesse and Biggs and Wedge intended. So the whole thing blows up. Now we're back to the elevator. They felt the lurch, but we're far enough up that we're safe from that.
Come on.
I'm just standing there quietly. There's talking. Back to where we started with like the entry areas with like the outfit with like the right radioactive coats and stuff. But things are shaking, everything's on, you know, there's fires all around us. Now we're back out onto the suspended platform where we can see the Shinra building. Jesse's just been knocked down again. Cloud's helping her up.
Believe me, you'd be the first to know.
I'll take that as a yes.
Jesse's running out, Cloud's running out, and a giant pipe comes down and the platform starts to fall. Cloud jumps up onto the pipe,
Okay, that was pretty
then
cool.
up again to safety.
Come on.
And everything's exploding. The people out in the streets are looking up. All of a sudden, the reactor starts blowing up, and then a huge stream of Mako flies out of it, and you can just see the dust everywhere. And now, you know, there's like pieces of it falling, you know, flying, and you can then see it zoomed out that the two sections of Midgar right next to the reactor are shutting their power down because the reactor that fuels them is gone. And we are now into chapter 2, which is known as Fateful Encounters. I will do this one in a future video.